Hello? How are you? Do you have trouble sleeping? You lie down in bed, sometimes you're tired, but you keep tossing and turning. It feels like your mind just won't shut off. You can't fall asleep. These days, it's really become an epidemic. Many people have a really hard time falling asleep, relaxing, and some have even gone to the doctor and been prescribed Zolpidem, Clonazepam, or medications that help stimulate the GABA system in our bodies to relax. Today, I'm going to talk to you about that in this video. So, what exactly is this GABA? Why do these medications work? Because they really do have very good results. Why do they often not solve the root cause of your insomnia? And which foods and habits can help naturally stimulate GABA in your body? So, you're going to love this video. Stay until the end because you won't want to miss it. Before we start, I want to ask you, have you been having trouble sleeping? If you think about it, doing the math, how many hours have you actually been able to sleep each day? Is your difficulty falling asleep, or do you manage to fall asleep but wake up many times during the night? I would love to see your comment. Remember to like the video. This is super important to me. It shows YouTube that you support the channel and that you trust my content. And if you know someone who struggles with stress, insomnia, or anxiety, share this video. Let's expand our chain of kindness. That's what I want here with the channel. So let's talk a little about this GABA issue. People talk a lot about GABA these days on the internet. What is GABA? Why is it so important? GABA is gamma-aminobutyric acid, and it's closely related to our brain. It's one of the main inhibitory neurotransmitters in the brain, meaning it inhibits our brain activity, it relaxes, it slows down the nervous system. While other neurotransmitters speed up our brain, making us more alert and energetic throughout the day, GABA slows things down. It reduces anxiety, decreases brain excitation, relaxes the muscles, and it prepares our brain for a deeper sleep. So, when GABA is working well, which is what we always hope for, our body will naturally enter a state of rest. But when it's low, or the brain's receptors don't respond as well, the mind just can't seem to stop, sleep becomes lighter, and the body stays in a state of alert. And we know that doesn't happen by chance. So let's talk a little bit about these medications people use to sleep, like Klonopin, how do they work, and everything else. Klonopin is actually Clonazepam, which belongs to the benzodiazepine class. Zolpidem is not a classic benzodiazepine. It's actually a hypnotic, but it acts on the same receptor, which is the GABA-A. In other words, they don't increase natural GABA. They force the GABA receptor in the brain to respond more. That's why they work super fast. They induce sleep and relaxation, but over time, they can end up causing tolerance and even dependence in some people. Because the brain ends up adapting, right? The break becomes artificial, sleep becomes artificial, and in some cases, people start to depend on this external stimulus, on the medication, to be able to switch off. This doesn't mean the medication is wrong. It means it may not be addressing the root of the problem. In fact, some people may need it temporarily in order to sleep for a while. Always remember to never take them on your own. These medications are important. They act on our brain. So never take it just because your husband, your wife, or your friend had some left over, or because someone has one that helps them sleep. No, always under a doctor's guidance, okay? This is super important for you. Now let's talk about some foods that can help you with this issue of inducing sleep and can help with your body's endogenous production of GABA. But I want to give you a warning here. The point of this video is not to say that these foods will replace medication. They are not medication, okay? The idea of this video is simply to let you know that there are certain foods that can help reduce this hyperexcitation of the nervous system, improve sleep quality, and support your brain in responding more naturally, essentially relearning how to relax. So if you have any questions, including whether or not you should consume these foods or regarding your sleep or deeper sleep hygiene, talk to your doctor or a nutritionist in your city. Now let's talk about the foods that we scientifically know have evidence showing they can help improve our sleep. One of them is basically related to nutrients. We have to talk about magnesium. We know that magnesium is one of the most important minerals when we think about this braking mechanism, this relaxation. Magnesium isn't just a relaxing mineral, of course. It is structurally necessary for the functioning of the GABA-A receptor. As we've already learned here, it's very important to bind to GABA, the neurotransmitter produced by neurons. So in the brain, GABA only is able to perform its calming role if this receptor is intact and the cellular environment allows chloride to enter the neuron. So magnesium acts right there. It stabilizes the neuronal membrane and prevents this electrical hyperexcitability. So, when magnesium levels are lower, when we don't consume enough magnesium in our daily lives, neurons fire more easily, and the brain enters a constant state of alert. Small stimuli can turn into anxiety, and sleep becomes more superficial and fragmented. That's why many people with magnesium deficiency report a racing mind, a feeling of physical tiredness, but the brain is still switched on, right? I want to rest lying in bed, but I just can't stop thinking. And that very frequent nighttime awakening. So many people wonder why magnesium deficiency is so common nowadays. Of course, for you to really know if you have a deficiency or not, you need to get a blood test and ask for a magnesium measurement. But nowadays, we know that chronic stress is closely related to this. Cortisol increases the urinary excretion of magnesium. Many people drink a lot of coffee throughout the day precisely to be able to keep up with their activities. They're tired, they're stressed, they slept poorly, and coffee can also negatively affect the body's magnesium levels. Excessive alcohol consumption is closely linked to magnesium depletion. Poorly nutritious diets low in magnesium-rich foods can also be one of the issues. And aging itself, due to the natural decrease in intestinal absorption of magnesium, can also be a risk factor. So it's not always a matter of, oh, the person doesn't have the willpower to consume magnesium. It's really a matter of biochemistry and the circumstances the person is going through at that moment. So if you can strengthen your intake of these foods, make a point of including foods that are sources of magnesium in your daily routine, you might be able to meet those needs. By far, I can tell you that pumpkin seeds are an excellent source of magnesium, as are nuts in general, but also dark green leafy vegetables, beans, cocoa, and avocado. These are good sources of magnesium that you can add to your diet. Another nutrient that is related is vitamin B6. Without it, we can't produce GABA in the same way. It doesn't act on the receptor, it acts in the production of GABA, which is made from glutamate. Glutamate is an excitatory neurotransmitter. This is very interesting, and the enzyme that carries out this conversion depends on vitamin B6. So if we do not have enough vitamin B6, glutamate can build up, brain excitation increases, anxiety rises, and GABA drops. They are counter-regulators. So the brain becomes more excited, more anxious, more stressed without that natural GABA break. And many people end up having a B6 deficiency. Even people who eat well can have this functional B6 deficiency because it can happen in some women due to continuous use of birth control pills for many years, regular alcohol consumption, once again, alcohol making things worse for us. Absorption decreases, excretion of vitamins increases, aging, intestinal problems, and prolonged use of certain medications can also cause us to have a B6 deficiency. To make sure whether you are deficient or not, and if you need supplementation, you have to get tested. But remember that good sources can also be incorporated into your diet without any harm for your quality of life, without any risk. Chickpeas, chicken, fish, potatoes, oats, and bananas are good sources of vitamin B6, and you can incorporate them into your diet. Many people look for an alternative to coffee because they know that coffee is highly stimulating and can harm sleep at night. People ask me, Patricia, what could I consume on a daily basis that would help me with this GABA issue, but that wouldn't leave me feeling lethargic or tired, but would give me a certain amount of energy? Green tea can be a great option because it naturally contains L-theanine, which helps you relax without sedating you. And it also has a relatively low level of caffeine, which helps give you that energy without overstimulating your brain as well. L-theanine is a bioactive amino acid that crosses the blood-brain barrier, which is quite rare. And when it gets to the brain, it works by increasing the release of GABA and reducing glutamate, which you already understand are antagonists, and it stimulates alpha waves associated with relaxation. Alpha brainwaves are those present in that calm state, which makes you more focused, more present without excessive drowsiness. That's why L-theanine can help reduce anxiety, but also improve concentration. And it doesn't knock you out like some sedatives because it keeps your energy up, but without making you overly stimulated, the way coffee does, right? So green tea already stimulates with a break. So if you have more difficulty, even with green tea, if you feel it interferes with your sleep, you can try drinking decaffeinated green tea because it does exist and could be an interesting option for you. Just a tip for you. It's also super important for us to talk about gut health because we already know that the gut is our second brain. I have an entire video talking about this because many of the neurotransmitters we use in the brain are produced in the gut and then they travel to the brain through the bloodstream. So, maintaining good gut health, the gut is not just about digestion, not just about bowel movements, not just about nutrient absorption, but also about neurotransmitter production. So, some gut bacteria produce GABA directly or modulate the sensitivity of its receptors. So, when the gut is inflamed or depleted, this gut-brain axis will obviously become dysregulated. Anxiety can increase, sleep can get worse, and there are fermented foods that can specifically help with this because they boost beneficial gut flora. They reduce inflammation in your own gut and can improve vagus nerve signaling, which is also very important for the neurological system. So you can add natural yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, and probiotics to your daily routine. I have a playlist here of homemade probiotics that you can make and start consuming every day. They're quite affordable and help improve gut health. And as a bonus, also improve the GABA issue, relaxation, and the neurotransmitters in your brain. Another important thing is to think about the right kind of carbohydrate for us to eat at night, because some people are really afraid to consume it. This can somewhat harm your sleep because carbohydrates play a role in facilitating the entry of tryptophan into our brain, and that increases serotonin, which increases melatonin, a whole cascade. And so indirectly, this can benefit our GABA. So the question is, what kind of carbohydrate are you going to consume? Ideally, it should be a more controlled carbohydrate in terms of glycemic index, especially at night. So lentils, beans, chickpeas, obviously whole grains, fruits, vegetables, and greens with the skin are all very good options. Of course, avoid refined sugar and avoid alcoholic beverages, right? The combination of carbohydrates with alcohol is not good for our brain. Remember that these healthy carbohydrates are part of our daily diet, right? It's not just about eating them plain, but including them as part of a balanced diet, as you would in a normal dietary re-education. Now, one last tip, which is super important. You want to sleep better, but are you exercising during the day? We know that people who are more sedentary have more difficulty sleeping, and that's due to a number of reasons. Partly because of energy expenditure itself, and of course, feeling more tired from physical activity. But regular physical exercise also increases the concentration of GABA in our brain. This is well documented. But it's not just any exercise. Extreme exercise or very high intensity can actually make things worse. So ideally, it should be moderate regularity, right? You should really have a consistent frequency throughout the week and also keep the intensity moderate. It shouldn't be anything too extreme that will stress you out too much. But maybe a walk, some lightweight training, yoga, Pilates, or swimming can be good options. They lower cortisol, increase GABA, and will improve your sleep at the end of the day. Regarding the timing, studies say that it's best to exercise in the morning or afternoon because sometimes doing it at night, too close to bedtime, can be counterproductive for some people. So if you're unsure, the ideal is to try to do it earlier. So when GABA is low in our body can't relax very well. And when you strengthen those pillars I mentioned, nutrition and lifestyle, it can help you naturally increase your GABA. If you have any questions, remember to consult your doctor or nutritionist in your city. And remember that I have a really cool playlist with lots of sleep tips, not just for increasing GABA, but also for improving your diet, the worst foods for sleep, improving your lifestyle, lots of interesting tips, teas, juices that can also help you in a complementary way. I'll leave this playlist down below in the description. So tell me, are you going to start making these changes? What are you going to put into practice today? I would love to see your comment. Remember to like the video, it really helps me out, and share it with those who need it. Let's spread this chain of kindness. That's what I want here with the channel. See you next time. Bye.